Another HillTown Tech refurbish we got here. Refurbished job. The customer has claimed or is stating that this device is slow to boot. I tried to boot this thing up, and it took 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, sorry. It took 5 minutes to boot. Literally 5 minutes to boot to the login screen. And then after that, so it probably was 10 minutes total. It also runs a bit hot. Laptops, over time definitely starts heating up. This is a Lenovo IdeaPad N585. They start to heat up over time because the inlet for the cooling is generally underneath, and then it usually vents out the side. And as this sits on your couch, as it sits on even your table, your lap, the fabric from your jeans, some people will use these things in bed. So the fabric, the lint comes off, it gets sucked in there and it gets stuck in the fins. So over time, they tend to run hot because you start blocking off the airflow. On top of that, the thermal paste, which is used to help conduct the heat, move the heat from the CPU and the GPU to the heat exchanger, so it's blown out. That loses it starts failing over time. It loses its ability to do that. Its efficiency, that's the word I'm seeking. So that goes down over time, and so the machine generally runs hotter. And once the machine starts running hotter, especially in such a tight case, this is a thicker laptop, but it's still a small case. The devices inside, the CPU starts to thermal throttle to keep the temperatures down, to stay within a certain tolerance. And you feel that in the effects of the machine takes longer to do things. It doesn't have as much power because it's being throttled back to help reduce the amount of heat it's generating because the cooling system can't keep up. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do our typical refurb on this. While we're at it, we're going to go ahead and replace the 5400 RPM spinning drive with this 500 gig SSD, and we're going to drop in 8 gigs of RAM, which will max this guy out. Right now it has 2 gigs of RAM and a 320 gig 5400 RPM hard drive, and it's running Windows 10. So that is so far from optimal. It's kind of comical, actually. It's very far from optimal. This guy is swapping. It's doing a lot of swapping, and it's doing it at a very, very low speed, about as slow as you can get. It also has a 1.8 gigahertz CPU, I think a dual core, maybe 4. I'm pretty sure it's a dual core with hyperthreading or something like that. Either way, you're doing a lot of swapping, and you're doing it at a very slow rate. And so everything you try to open, if you got Chrome open, well, just booting the machine and then firing up Chrome, you started swapping. So we're gonna do our thing on this, and I'm expecting it to perform decently afterwards. All right, here we go. this is the final product. We are all done. We got everything all cleaned up. The machine is significantly faster. So we'll go ahead and start a boot here from a dead start. It takes about 20 seconds. As I mentioned before, the first time I looked at this and tried to diagnose it, it took 5 minutes to boot. So, you know, now we're up to around 20 seconds, I guess, to you know, ready to log in. So that's a good turnout. I did not end up having to reinstall the operating system. I did a virus scan and a malware scan, and everything came up clean. I did not reset Windows or anything like that. All we did was move the disk, the contents of the disk, onto the new SSD, just as it was, and everything is good.